Today we have Carol Musyoka, Kenya's famous nitpicker, on the back seat. Now, full disclosure, I know Carol very well. We work together on a number of fronts, but this is all about you guys getting to know her. Carol, welcome.
Thank you very much, Sally.
Carol, you're one of these people who seems to have so many different qualifications and does so many things.
Yeah.
You're a qualified lawyer.
Yep.
You've been a very seasoned banker in senior positions in Kenya's banking industry. You're a director who sits on boards. You're an educator these days. You're a columnist. You're a consultant. So all these different things, how does that all play out? How has that life been?
It's nothing planned, it's not contrived, it just one thing led to another. I started off wanting to be a lawyer. There's this excellent book called Rage of Angels, and it became a movie. And I remember watching the movie, and the main character was a lady. And there's one particular scene where she does this really crafty thing in a courtroom and wins the case. And I remember thinking, that's it. That's me. Having come out of law school and gone into practice, because you have to do pupillage, and I was at Orara and Wachir, that time it was called Orara and Wachir, I came to realize that not exactly, okay? I didn't like the whole going to court thing. There's one particular case that was really, really sad. Then I knew more than ever that I did not want to practice law from a litigation perspective, but I was still interested in the financial part of law. That's
the qualification you have, though.
Yes.
Now you've changed your mind.
Yes.
What does one do then?
Well, one goes with the flow, Shonda Rhimes is an excellent TED Talk. It's called Say Yes to Everything. And I use that almost as the SI unit of everything, at every stage that I've gone through in my life.
Right.
You just say yes, let me just try something out and see how I like it. And having finished my master's, I worked for 1 year in a private equity fund, which was quite interesting because there was a financial aspect to it. You were assessing investments that they wanted to make in Africa. Got to found that I really liked this aspect of investment. And picked up quite a taste for that. So when I came back and I was being told, why don't you apply to Citibank? Applied for the job and got it. And before I could say Jack Sprat, there I was as a banker.
Did you know before trying it that you had some financial acumen?
Absolutely not. And remember, I hated math. I used to be, as Kenyans would say, number last in my math class. So finance was never an option.
And then banking you were there for quite a while. You rose to director level.
That's right. That's right. So I was in banking for a total of about 8 years. What I say with life is sometimes it's time for you to leave an organization or to leave an industry, or sometimes the industry is like, you know what, it's been real, you've got the t-shirt, get out, and it spits you out. And that's exactly what the banking industry did. It spat me out.
In fact, I remember you telling me at the time that even corporate life, you're done with, and you need to find something totally fresh now.
For bankers, and I say this with all due respect to my colleagues who are still in the industry, it's all about, how high you're going, how much you're being paid, what your bonus
Bankers
is.
Look away now.
So there's a big, I'm going to use this word, floss factor, around what it is that you're doing and where you live and what you're driving. When I left KREP, I just said, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I know what I'm never going to do.
Right.
I'm never going into banking again. I was certain about that without a shadow of doubt. And that's exactly what I did. I came down the mountain, as it were, recalibrated and decided to try something completely new. The higher you go in corporate, the thinner the air gets. So you have to learn how to sink or swim. And if this air doesn't do it for you, as just like anyone who's climbed Mount Kilimanjaro will tell you, there reaches a time where you're like, you feel that this is not working for you, you have to go down.
So what did you try?
Well, this is the thing. So when I left KREP, one of the shareholders of KREP was a company called Shore Bank, and they had a technical capacity wing consultancy. So they got in touch with me. They're like, Carol, look, you've left KREP. Why don't you come and try teaching on one of our conferences? We do conferences for small business banks. We think you'd make a great, educator for our conference. I said, really? Yeah. Okay. I mean, look, I'm free. Yeah.
But it's not something you had thought of up to that point?
Not at all. Never imagined it. So they sent me to India, and I completely loved it. And that was my first taste in educating. So I became one of their educators. And that then opened a whole different world.
So you took a twisted route, but you got there. You feel you're there now.
Yes.
And this is now, are you feeling like your life's work, you're engaged with it now? You found the purpose you were looking for?
For now.
Yes. Okay. But who knows?
And not who knows. I know that this is for now.
Lots of people, when a reversal happens or a sudden unexpected twist in life happens, tend to take it very badly and seem to sit back and crumble and have a lot of blame and bitterness.
Yeah.
But what I've observed with you is you're very resilient. You seem to take it as a lesson and become better and stronger as a result. How does one do that? Because it seems to be such an important life lesson.
You have to roll with the punches, because you can let it get you down. Because especially after I left Cape, I'm like, okay, there's something wrong. Clearly the problem is me. What do I need to do? I came out of that very clear. I cannot work for people. I have to work with people. I need to put myself in situations where I work with people, which brings out the best in me, and hopefully it will bring out the best in them in whatever it is I'm giving to them.
And hence the executive education.
Yes.
And how does one know that now this work that I'm doing is actually deeply important to me? It's connecting with something meaningful inside me. What's the signal?
You are happy doing it. And don't get me wrong, when I first started, I languid, I literally just did anything and everything in consultancy. I was doing, we had different clients. And some of the tasks were so mundane. Some of them were like, oh God, I can't see myself doing this for a long time. I put myself out there, tried a million things, and the 10% rule works. The 10 things that you try, the one thing really, really makes you happy, then you start to focus on it. Now, what I tell people is the money won't come tomorrow, and you certainly won't be making the money that you were making when you were banking, but you're happy. You're far happier.
But it took some patience. It was not overnight. You need to wait a little.
3 years.
Yes, before.
So save. I tell people save, save.
One of the things I've seen you narrow your beam onto these days is corporate governance and the work of boards.
Yes.
And you yourself sit on boards and you teach to boards, you consulted by boards. Why did that become such an area of interest for you?
Because I'm rabidly curious about how organizations work. Whatever decisions are made at board, whatever the ethos is at board is what differentiates the chaff from the rice. Good boards make good decisions, lead to good companies. Bad boards make bad decisions that lead to bad companies. I've seen that.
One of the issues that's perplexing boards around the world is that you're a woman sitting on boards. Typically, when you look at a board, we see one woman, maybe two. It's very unusual to go beyond that. What's that all about? Why are we still in an era where we can't see many more women in the boardroom?
There's a class that I teach in Stratford, when I tell women the problem that we have is how we socialize. So I won't talk about the other countries, I'll think about it in Kenya. So think about dinner or lunch somewhere and look at how we socialize. The women will go and sit with the women and the men will go and sit with the men. Now, amongst those women, you've got somebody who's extremely intelligent, extremely articulate, and who can add a lot of value to the board. But amongst a group of men, there's like 4 or 5 who are looking for board members. But because they don't engage with this woman and see how she interacts, they won't be able to think, oh, wait a minute, let me add her. But they're interacting with other men here and he's thinking, I've got a board position I'm looking for. I like the way this chap spoke, John spoke, or John is my friend anyway, or John is somebody I play golf with. John is someone I'm familiar with. I'm happy to recommend John. There's that how we socialize. Secondly, he's also very worried that he might decide he's going to, I'm not saying this is what happens, but he might decide he's going to recommend this lady. She's a friend of his wife, maybe. What will his wife think? What will society think? So there's lots of other pressures that come into play. One of the things that I tell the boards, some of the boards that we sit on, that I sit on, is look at outsourcing this recruitment, and some of them actually do. You go to a headhunter and they go out and find women. Okay? But that doesn't end there. It's one thing for a headhunter to look for an operations manager and think of you. It's another thing for a headhunter to think of a board director for an NSE listed company and think of you. They might think of you being a very efficient and qualified operations manager, but they don't think that you have what it takes to sit on a board. So how do you show up? Do you show what we call a T-shaped thinking, very strategic thinking, broad-based? What's going on in the economy? What's going on in your industry? What goes on politically? How are all of these dots connecting? It comes down to how do you show up. So I throw the challenge back at women. They'll hate me for saying it, but it's a fact. Who's your champion? Who's championing your cause?
I've seen you do so many different things over the past 10 years or so. But one thing I do see you do is whatever it is you're doing, whether you know or not this is your life's work, you do it, you go all in. You're very enthusiastic about whatever you're doing. Is that also one of the ingredients of actually finding the true work?
Like I said, if it's something that you love, you will do it. You will wake up in the morning to do it. If you don't, you won't. You'll struggle to get out of bed to do what it is.
But it's still important to give it your best shot and not do mediocre work.
Absolutely, absolutely. But Sunny, if it's something that you love,
Yes.
mediocrity won't even come into play. If you love it, it'll come out well.
Right.
More often than not, the bar will be set.
Right.
Yeah.
Carol is actually very reluctant to ever be on camera. She's very camera shy, but she came on the back seat. You can thank me later. Do you know what your life is for? Do you know what your true work on earth is? Do you know your own bigger deal? Some people may know this from an early age, but for most of us, it's a process of discovery. There are many twists and turns before we discover the work that truly engages us and draws the best out of us. It doesn't happen by accident, though. We have to work with enthusiasm on whatever is before us, even if it doesn't excite us. That's how discovery works. As Carol just told us, first say yes, a wholehearted yes, to lots of stuff. Then narrow the beam. When you finally find yourself doing the work you're meant to be doing, great things await. I hope they're waiting for you. See you next time on The Backseat.